Word meanings. Na,
Na,
not.
not.
Eva,
Eva,
indeed.
indeed.
Alikam,
Likam,
false.
false.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Manye,
Manye,
think.
think.
Vachaha,
Vachaha,
words.
word.
Te,
Te,
your.
your.
Madhusudana,
Madhudana,
O killer of Madhu.
O killer of Mahatma.
Ambayaha,
Ambayaha,
of Amba.
Amba.
Evahi,
Evani,
certainly.
certainly.
Prayaha,
Prayaha,
generally.
generally.
Kunyayaha,
Kunyayaha,
the maiden.
maiden.
Syat,
Syat,
arose.
arose.
Rati,
Lati,
attraction.
attraction.
To salva. Kvachit,
Kvachit,
one.
once.
Translation. Actually, this is Rukmini speaking. Actually, I don't consider your words false, Madhusudana. Quite often, an unmarried girl is attracted to a man, as in the case of Amba. So, the words that Rukmini is referring to, Krishna's words, started in text 10. We're on text 46. So if you have a good memory, you'll remember what Krishna said. I'm going to go back and read those verses because she's referring to those verses, and if we don't know the verses, it's not going to make sense. So let me read those verses first, if I may, if you allow me, if we have time. Wait a minute. Okay. So this is what Krishna, these are the words that she's referring to. Krishna, Krishna, Hari, Hari.
It's on, but it's not very loud. He's turning it up now.
Govinda. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. Since your brother and father offered you to them, why did you reject the king of Cheti and all those other suitors who stood before you, maddened by Cupid? Why instead did you choose us?" Us means me. This is Krishna speaking, so there were so many suitable kings. Why did you choose me? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Why instead did you choose us, who are not at all your equal? Krishna's a coward boy. She's a queen. Terrified of these kings, O lovely, proud one, we took shelter in the ocean. We have become enemies of powerful men, and we practically abandon our loyal throne. O fine-browed lady, women are usually destined to suffer when they stay with men whose behavior is uncertain and who pursue a path not approved by society. So Krishna is saying that he's not really qualified for her. And Krishna's crooked and unsteady and all these things, right? How can you trust him? We have no material possessions, and we are dear to those who similarly have nothing. Therefore, O slender one, the wealthy hardly ever worship me. Of course, we know Krishna's joking, right? Kings like Shishupal, Shalva, Jarasandha, and Dantavakra all hate me, O beautiful thighed one, and so does your elder brother, Rukmi. It was to dispel the arrogance of these kings that I carried you away. So now Krishna's saying, it's like, really, it wasn't about you. It was about, I just was trying to curb the pride of these kings, put them in their place. So, yeah. It was to dispel the arrogance of these kings that I carried you away, my good woman, for they were blinded by the intoxication of power. My purpose was to curb the strength of the wicked. Of course, Krishna can do many things at the same time, but he's teasing her. So he's saying, really wasn't about you, it was about them. We care nothing for wives, children, and wealth, always satisfied within ourselves. We do not work for body and home, but like a light, we merely witness.
Krishna keeps saying we. When Prabhupada says we, I understand he's talking about the Sampradaya and Krishna. But when Krishna says we, who's he talking about?
What do they say? The humble we, or it's a humble way of saying me or I.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times you hear that. How did you join ISKCON? Well, when we were 19, we met the devotees, and then we were in college. It's supposed to be a more humble way of expressing it. The humble we, there's another name for that we. I forget. In Britain they have it? The British have a name? The same for that? Maybe. The royal we. That doesn't sound humble, though, does it?
Krishna's never alone, right?
Well, this was translated by Ridananaraj. You'll have to ask him why he didn't say I. If that's in the Sanskrit or not. But here he says, kings like Sishubal, Salva, Jarasan, and Dantravaka all hate me. He should say, all hate us. We care nothing. Krishna in all his forms, we. So now we go back to the verse, and she said, actually, I don't consider your words false, Madhusudan. Quite often an unmarried girl is attracted to a man, as in the case of Amba. So I'm not sure exactly what Krishna said that she's referring to, but let's read the purport. Having refuted everything Lord Krishna said, Srimati Rukmini, in a gracious frame of mind, now praises the truthfulness of his statements. In other words, she accepts that Lord Krishna used her as an example to elucidate ordinary female psychology. The king of Kashi had 3 daughters, Amba, Ambalika, and Ambika, and Amba was attracted to Shala. The story is narrated in the Mahabharata, and there's one more verse I'm asked to speak about, with no purport. The mind of a promiscuous woman always hankers for new lovers, even if she is married. An intelligent man should not keep such an unchaste wife, for if he does, he will lose his good fortune, both in this life and the next. So, this is Rukmini speaking. When I was looking at these verses, the first thought that came to mind is here we're witnessing an exchange of love between Krishna and Rukmini, and which is basically what, as devotees, we are meant to meditate on, understand, enter into, relish, taste, and so forth. That's what it's all about. Like, and it's like sometimes a couple may argue, and you may be in the car while they're arguing, and you're embarrassed. And then, you may talk to, like, the husband is like, is this hard to be married to her? No, we always do that. It's just the way we talk. No, we're not angry at one another. It's actually, we love one another. It's something like that. So we're getting a glimpse into how Krishna shows his love in exchanging with Rukmini. And I think maybe it was a few verses previous when Rukmini was expressing to Krishna, like, why you treat me this way? And Krishna's saying, oh, I was just doing it because it brings out your love for me. I was just trying to churn the ocean of love. That's why Krishna was doing it. Like ladies, when you were young, if a boy ever made fun of you or joked with you, that was a sign that he liked you. That's how he expressed it. Right? He might, oh, look at you, blah, 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 blah. That means, like, why is he bothering to talk about you? Because there's like 1,000 other girls in school. And he's making fun of you, it's because he likes you. So Krishna's making fun of, so we understand Krishna's making fun of Rukmini, teasing her, but that's out of love. And sometimes it is said, maybe it's a Hollywood movie line, you're so beautiful when you're angry. The woman gets angry and says, oh, you're so beautiful. And so it's something, Krishna sometimes says that with Radha. She gets upset, he shows up late. Why are you late? And she's angry, and Krishna likes it. And he's getting chastised, and he likes it. So we're getting a glimpse into the supreme love, the original love, and everything we see here is a reflection of this. And so when I'm reading these verses and just meditating on the love of Radha and Krishna and thinking that, well, what qualification do I have to understand this love? At the same time, Srila Prabhupada is like giving it to us. It's like, here, this is what it is. And there's no way we can understand it unless we're free of lust and we have some beginning of love or affection to Krishna. Then we can understand it. Otherwise, we look at it and we think, what does this mean? I don't understand love because I don't have any. If I don't have it, how can I understand it? So, at least when I'm reading this verse, I'm thinking, okay, this is something very high and it's something very deep, and unless I'm very high and deep, I won't have any idea what's going on. I'll just be looking at this and due to my own lust, I won't understand it, and then it's kind of like I am preventing myself from experiencing the highest thing in the universe, which is the love of Radha and Krishna, which is why we're here, to participate in the love of Radha and Krishna, to facilitate it, to relish it, to understand it, and to distribute it. And the more obviously we have it, the easier it is to distribute it, because we become attractive when we have it, and people see you have something. And we want to give it because we're relishing it, and it's so beautiful. And I often think that the price of the sacrifice we make, the austerity we do, is that we can relish this. That's the payoff. And if we don't make that sacrifice, then we hear about these leelas and it's like, yeah, whatever, yeah, nice. And we're licking the jar. We're not relishing it because, it's not going to come easy. And sometimes devotees, they'll say, well, Kartik's coming, what vrata are you going to do? And I say, the vrata I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the holy name when I chant, because that's a huge vrata, because I'd rather just be half asleep when I chant. But if you've ever done any kind of vrata where you make a sacrifice of doing something that's really difficult and it goes against your natural inclination and proclivity, which is the natural inclination, proclivity of the mind, is to wander everywhere. And you actually try to hear the holy name, although we don't generally discuss that as an austerity. It's probably one of the biggest austerities, to control the mind for 2 hours and just hear. But whenever I do that, then it's like I get a little glimpse into what is the love of Radha and Krishna, because I just spent 2 hours meditating on Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, that love. And something is filtering down from that mantra of the love between Radha and Krishna. And if you really get esoteric, Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna are together, Krishna, Krishna, they're separated. Hare Hare, separated. That's just Radha, Radha, Krishna, Krishna. So there's so much in the Maha Mantra that can trickle down if, if you're actually absorbed in it. So, so when I was reading this story, I was thinking, well, here's Radha and Krishna, and that's what we're doing every day, chanting Radha Krishna. So this story pastime is really non-different than the Mahamantra. It's Radha and Krishna exchanging in their teasing way and joking way, insulting way sometimes, detached way, actually expressing their love, which is what exists in the Mahamantra. And that's what Prabhupada has given us through the Mahamantra, love of Radha and Krishna, which is the sweetest thing, the highest thing, the most relishable thing.
Continue to bless you with pure devotional service.
And sometimes we don't appreciate it because Krishna, he doesn't make it easy. He doesn't make it difficult, but he doesn't make it easy, because you can't just appreciate it with your head. You have to appreciate it with your heart, and you have to have a heart that's pure enough to appreciate it. And there is so much nectar flowing in the Bhagavatam. And some acharyas say, the Bhagavatam is just a book about love. That's, what is the Bhagavatam? It's a book about love. What love? Between Krishna and his devotees. It's like everything is about that love. And if you have a little of that love, then it's more relishable, because you're reading about the love that Krishna has for his devotees, and you are a devotee, and you love Krishna, and you're just relishing. Like if you have, like you're a loved one, and they do something loving to for your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, like that. It's just more relishable. Oh, this is my husband, this is my wife. She's so loving. She takes care of the kids so much. She's so nice to her mother. So that way, we're relishing seeing Krishna showering his love, because we're also the objects of his love. It's not like, oh, Rukmini gets the love, what about me? No. The love that he's showing her, the teasing, all that, that's what he does with us when we have that love. So it melts our heart knowing that it's not just for her. This is my Lord who shows love. And so the other thing, or expanding upon this idea, when we're reading this story, what is Krishna doing? Krishna is taking this relationship that he has with Rukmini, and he's making it sweeter. Like we say, he's churning the ocean, right? And so sometimes we don't understand why Krishna does something, but it's very easy to understand why he does something. He only does things which will churn the ocean of love. That's who he is. His modus operandi is to exchange rasa and churn it. And so, you could never think, oh, why is Krishna doing this to poor Rukmini, and she's fainting and she's so distressed? Why did Krishna leave the inhabitants of Vrindavan? When Krishna was asked, or the acharyas talk as Krishna, they say, well, if I leave them, their love increases. And so who's their love for? It's for me. And who relishes their love? I do. So if I leave them, I relish their love more. Because now they're feeling more pain of separation, and it's a higher form of love, and they're always thinking of me and crying in separation. So that's why I left them, because externally it seems like Krishna's cruel. Why would you leave? So he can't do anything that's cruel to his devotees. It just looks like it. Little Radharani's lying on the ground feeling separation. How could you leave her? And Krishna's in Dwarka, and he's crying, thinking about the residents of Braja. So he's feeling separation, but he left them to increase their love, and that caused him pain. But ultimately it caused him pleasure, because he is always churning the ocean. He's always making butter out of the cream. And that's what he does. So that's kind of like the default. If you're trying to understand why Krishna did something, that's always the default to go to increase the love of his devotees. And that's all he's doing here. And sometimes Krishna acts in a way that upsets Radharani. It's a kind of love. When she's angry, it's just a different emotion. And so that's we have various emotions, and he wants to experience that emotion, and he allows her to experience that emotion, and that increases the ocean of their love. And Prabhupada said, we read this in the Nectar Devotion when we were young devotees, that Krishna's love is always increasing for Radha, and Radha's love is always increasing for Krishna. It never ends. Forever, it increases. So he's always doing something to spark that love, and that's what he does with us. And so our love for Krishna will always increase, and he'll always do things to increase it. When Gopkumar went back to Godhead, Krishna brought him home and fed him prasadam. And he was eating this prasadam, and he ate it, and he said, I don't like this, it's the worst prasadam I ever ate. And it's because Radharani was there, and she cooked it, and she was looking to see that he liked it. And so that's how he exchanged his love with Radharani, by saying, oh, this is horrible. She said, you don't like it? And he gives it, I don't like this, here, Gopkumar, you can take it. And Gopkumar ate it, and it was the best thing. He never tasted anything like it in his life. It was the best. So Krishna is exchanging with Radha by saying he doesn't like it. He's exchanging with Gopkumar. And he takes off his turban because Gopkumar is like, well, he's just come and he's a coward boy, so you have to dress like it. So when you hear these leelas, you see that there's nothing but love in Krishna. And love is what we want, right? And so Purnamrita Swadanam, in first verse of Shishastakam, Purna means full, Amrita means nectar, Swada means taste. Of the taste for which we are always anxious, or Prabhupada says, full taste for which we hanker at every step of our life. What do we hanker after? Love. That's what we hanker. Behind every effort to find happiness, we're looking for love, we're looking to receive it, and we're looking to give it. And so, what's going on in Krishna Lila? Giving and receiving love. So, Purnamrita Swadanam. And that in the Mahamantra is, like some people say, Mahamantra is Ras Lila. It's just Hare Krishna, it's a circle. Mantra just keeps repeating. Anywhere you start, it just goes around. So it's just the mantra of love. This is the Bhagavatam is the book of love. Because Krishna is the God of love, all he does is exchange love. That's Krishna consciousness. In a nutshell. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ras Lila. Krishna exchanging love. And as we do austerity and purify our heart, then we can taste the love. And as we don't do that and want to enjoy the body and the mind materially, we just read this and it's like, we just fall asleep. And Raghunath Das Goswami is reading it and he's crying because he's seen Krishna so loving, right? Look at Putana, she gets liberated, the pure devotee reads that, just cries. My Lord is so loving, he's liberating the person who's trying to kill him. In every lila, he just sees the love and affection. So he's reading Bhagavatam and crying. He's chanting the holy name, he's crying because of love. And that's Krishna consciousness, it's love. That's it. That's all I can say, nothing more to say. Hare Krishna.
You killed it.
Yes.
In addition to, your amazing presentation about how do we respond to hearing this esoteric, intimate, highly elevated, loving exchanges between Krishna and Radharani. How do we appreciate it? How do we understand it? I've heard that, in our level of practicing Krishna consciousness, that we attend a class or we speak what we've heard from the spiritual master for Krishna's pleasure. That actually just by coming to the class, it's an offering to the Lord. I may not understand it. I really may not really be at the level of really appreciating it, but at least let me do this because this is my offering to Krishna. My Guru asked me to do this, right?
Oh,
so I hope Krishna is pleased by our...
I have a story.
Yeah.
The Nectar Devotion came out We first received it in August of, I believe it was August of 1970. That's what the Krishna book definitely came out in August of 1970, and I think Nectar and Devotion was around that time. And at that time, I had joined in January, so I'd been a devotee 8 months. And the devotees in our temple, maybe the oldest had been a devotee a year, or maybe a year and a quarter, when Nectar and Devotion came out. So Prabhupada said we should read every day. So every day we had Nectar and Devotion class. We were actually reading it on Sankirtan. We would take our lunch, we would stop, we would eat our lunch, and then we would read Nectar of Devotion. And so everything was good until we got to a certain point and started talking about rasa, tattva. And we had no idea. Yeah, it was like, we never heard such things. How, it's really all about like the psychology of love in various exchanges, and kind of the psychology of Krishna and the gopis, the whole thing. It's like I just landed on another planet. I don't speak the language. Everything is different. And so we felt like we probably shouldn't be reading this because we don't understand it and it's way above our heads. And I think that was reasonable to think like that. And so somebody asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, just read it. If you don't understand it, just read it. And just read it again, and read it again and again. So that underscores what you're saying. Then it's a service to hear, and by hearing, something sinks in eventually. I think the first thing that sinks in is that this is not like boys and girls of this world, because that's the fundamental thing you have to understand. If you look at it that way, you totally misunderstand it, and then you want to imitate it and be like Krishna. If he can do it, why can't I do it? And so, of course, that's why there's 9 cantos to understand Krishna's exchanges with the gopis. This is not material lust. This is the highest form of love. And unless you have that love, how will you understand it? And so we have lust, so we understand everything through lust. You see a boy and a girl. If you have lust, what do you think? Well, this is lust. Right? So you see Radha and Krishna, and then you spoil it, you ruin it, because you see it like ordinary boy and girl. When you have love or some bhakti, then you can understand this is the highest expression of love, free from any material desire. They don't have material bodies. Sometimes we say, oh, you think it's lust, but Krishna was 8 years old, the gopis were 8. But even aside from that, they don't have material bodies. There's no lust in their body. Because there's lust in our body and mind, then we project that on Krishna. And that sahajya and jism and all that happens. You take the highest thing and make it the lowest thing, which is so unfortunate. And it's interesting, I found out that in Gaudiya Math, when they read the Bhagavatam, and they discuss, when the Bhagavatam discusses the Leelas of the gopis, they don't discuss it, they just read it. It's just like, I guess Srila Bhaktisiddhanta just did not publicly discuss these things, and so they don't discuss it. And so it's considered very sacred and high, and to be approached with caution and reverence and so forth.
Bhakti Swami was explaining to us in the process of presenting Krishna consciousness to others. Bhakti Swami was explaining to us that in the process of, I don't know how to do this, presenting Krishna consciousness to others, we mentioned to people, we're not asking you to believe this. We're not asking you to subscribe to it. Oh, I don't know how to do it. You do it.
It's coming through there also?
Yeah, whatever,
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. We're just here.
Right.
We're not asking you to understand this. We're not asking you to follow it and take it into your life and subscribe to it. We're only asking if you be willing to hear what Scripture says. And that's a preliminary stage.
Like open mind.
We're not trying to argue with you. We're not trying to convince you.
Yeah.
We're not trying to convert you. We're saying, please,
Yeah.
Prabhupada said, please try to take the time to hear this. And then later, there's some processing and we begin to think, well, maybe that's got something to do with, maybe that's true. And then there's a stage of realization.
Yeah.
But the first stage is just, please hear what Krishna says. And then they don't argue with you, because they're not thinking that you're trying to defeat them or enroll them and get them to do it.
Hear and see what happens.
Asking permission and encouraging. And that's what Bhakti Churning said.
Yeah, right.
That was an interesting way of breaking it down to the first step, so that you don't try to
And there's also another aspect, of course, it's maybe a little more evolved, but second verse of Bhagavatam, relish of
Dharma Prodita Kaitava.
the aho rasika, yeah, that verse, yeah, this is relish. It's a mature fruit, relish it. So part of the hearing is, maybe you don't understand everything, but there's a sweetness there you can relish. And sometimes you don't understand anything, but you just hear the Sanskrit and you go, that sounds nice. That's sweet. A few words, that's sweet. So, because bhakti's we're not jnanis. So when we're hearing, especially in Bhagavatam, because it's rasa amala, we're meant to be relishing it, hearing its sweetness, and relishing the sweetness of the leelas and so forth. So that's part of hearing.
Who's going to argue with a piece of cheesecake?
Take the cheesecake of Srimad Bhagavatam and enjoy it. Yes.
It's clear you have, you're relishing the Bhagavatam and you're relishing the holy names. So I wanted to see what advice you have for those who are more dry than a desert.
Well, I can tell you my realization about the holy name, but I think it's the same with everything in Krishna consciousness. We know that it's dripping with nectar, but we're not always dripping with nectar when we chant it, right? But we know it's there. But we have to meditate on this. This is Krishna. It's not anything other than Krishna. And Krishna is full of bliss, right? And therefore the holy name is full of bliss. And so what I often meditate on is, I'm chanting this name, or I'm reading Bhagavatam. It's so deep, it's so full, it's so complete. How much of it am I getting? And I'm getting, in a sense, I'm getting as much as I am focused on. I'm getting as much as I put my heart into it. So, am I focused on hearing? That? Am I present with Krishna? Do I realize? If I'm not present with Krishna, it's like I'm saying, well, I don't really think you're there, so why should I be present? But the more present I am, it's just me and Krishna in his name. Then Krishna just starts to come out of his name, oh yeah, I was hiding inside my name, and because you're chanting with devotion, and you're concentrating, and you're making an effort, because this is an effort to hear, because the mind doesn't it wants to go everywhere. It's almost like he's crawling out of the Maha Mantra, I'm hidden inside the Maha Mantra, and as you chant properly, I'm going to come out, and you get to experience me. And as you do austerity and do things in devotional service that maybe you don't like to do, that are difficult, I will come out of the pages of the Bhagavatam. All these things, it's like I feel like he's hidden behind austerity. It's we don't like austerity, but when you realize Krishna is hidden behind austerity, you start liking austerity, even though it's difficult, because you think, Krishna's going to come out of this austerity.
I don't have a question.
Sorry. Krishna, thank you for giving class. I'll speak up.
Sure.
So my question was, what kind of austerities can we perform that
23 people
will
watching.
invoke this, infuse Krishna, bring forth the holy name?
That might be a subjective question for you, because what maybe is austere for you is not austere for him. And so if he does that austerity, it's I do that every day. What's something a little out of the comfort zone? There's so many austerities that just come to us that we try to dodge also. Prabhu, can you do this? Could someone else do it? Like, but rather, yeah, I don't like doing this, I'm gonna do it, it's good. I think austerities should just come in the form of service. And a lot of times devotees say, I don't do this and that because it's difficult, and I think, oh, I would do that because it's difficult, because I want to get that purification so that I can go deeper in my Krishna consciousness. That's how I see it. At least I see that more advanced devotees, that's how they see austerity. It's just like it's all relishable, it's all opportunity. So, like I was saying, one of the biggest austerities is to be present for 16 rounds and not be, traveling around the universe while Krishna is coming to you in his name, not being somewhere else, just giving him the courtesy of your attention, the respect of your attention. Because that's, Jiva Goswami says you should chant with love. And love is, respect is part of love. So am I respecting Krishna when you show up in your name? Well, if I'm not, how can I say I'm chanting with love? So that's a good place to start. In any other, you might say, it's so hard for me to learn verses, I'm bad with language, my memory's bad. Oh, austerity, maybe I should do that. Maybe that's good for me, I don't like it. So then you start to relish the things you don't like because you realize how purified you become. And Krishna's pleased, he sees you doing what you don't like. I've had to do so many things in my life that I don't like. People say, isn't traveling difficult? I say, yeah. Well, why do you do it? Because it's my service, not because I like it necessarily. So, if it's service and, it's an opportunity to serve, and if it's difficult, that just makes it better. Okay.
The Didi Darshan starts, but after this we have something called the afterglow. So if you can hang in, we'll talk a little further.
Okay.
Chapaklatamachi has something to say. You're going to blow the conch now.
You want to wait for the afterglow? What time does the afterglow start? Come back for the afterglow, everyone. Keep your thought. Keep that thought.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Muradhar, Shri Guru Chandra Ki Jai. Birds on Radharani's dress Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if we are going to have an afterglow. I'm not sure. If it all depends on how things play out in the temple room. But it's so nice seeing you all, Carolyn, Tanya, Chaitanya Dasi, Premanishta Bhakti. Oh, what a cool name, Premanishta Bhakti. Shampoo, Karen and family. We see the family's feet. Is that the little foot? Oh no, that's an elbow. All right. Cool. Good to see you. Good to see you, young man. Okay, Scarlet Bloom. Scarlet is back. Check it out. Hare Krishna, Scarlet. Venetia and Whiskey Das. Rahul Prabhu. Kavita. Sharma. Sundar Nandaji and his teenage crew. Sakit. Alina V. Isma Vaishnavi. Karina. Arjuna Prabhu, bowing down to you, of course. Michael. Hajimuna Jaya, Bruce. Yogeshwari. Amita Kishori. I'm just chanting, I'm just reciting your names, dear. It's as good as the Bhagavatam. All right. Yeah, he's chanting Kirtan. He's chanting Guru Puja. Yeah, no afterglow. Hare Krishna.